Certainly, if they are going to grow and on projections one day, they will catch up with the Chinese, maybe even overtake them. Singapore had something to do with the initials anyway, because originally it was meant to be an East Asia summit kind of partnership, basically of the economies which are on the Asian side of the Pacific, and that included China and the Northeast Asian countries, Australasia, the Southeast Asian countries, and also India. And in that configuration, we thought you brought the major economies in, and there was a good balance. China, India, although India really is 1/4 the size of China's GDP. And then you have Australia and New Zealand, who are treaty allies of the US, and if they're in the group can't be that anti-US. So we thought we had a good configuration, and it came quite far, but you never know until you reach the marriage altar who's there. And quite late in the process, the Indians decided that they did not want to participate in this. And therefore, we now have, ASEAN plus Northeast Asia plus Australasia. I think it's a useful grouping to have. I hope one day the Indians will be ready to participate. Certainly, if they are going to grow and on projections one day, they will catch up with the Chinese, maybe even overtake them, but because they have a much younger population, and the Chinese population is already declining. But I think within that framework, there is room for significant economic cooperation. It's less substantial than the CPTPP, which covers many more areas and more deeply, but it does bring these countries together, and it is a signal that we want to trade with one another, and we do not want to beggar thy neighbor with one another. So that's, I think, one package. Your broader question, how does China fit into the system? I think the answer is somehow or other China does want to fit into the system, because from their perspective, they are not wanting to go and to wreck the WTO system. They have benefited from this. They joined the WTO. It was at a time when Zhu Rongji was the premier, and he had a clear view that this was the way to force his own companies, including SOEs, to become internationally competitive, because you have to follow the WTO rules. And therefore, you have to open up your markets. I mean, some negotiated arrangement, but business has to be done. And therefore, you have to measure up. And in the early years, anyway, there were disputes which were brought to the WTO, and they sometimes went in favor of the Chinese, sometimes went against. And when they went against, quite often the Chinese actually complied and fulfilled the judgments. I'm not sure that's the situation now, but it was how it started up. But now what they say, and have said quite consistently, is that they uphold the multilateral trading system, and they would want to go by a rules-based order. But the rules-based order, in which one participant is a lot bigger than the others, calls for forbearance and restraint and certain self-enlightened magnanimity, which doesn't come naturally to any great power. And even powers which have done it for a long time sometimes relapse. There are few examples may come to mind. So in that situation, for China to participate is not so easy, because you've not only got to express the right attitude, you've actually got to convince people that this is how you're going to behave in real life. And there have been situations where you've had disputes with countries between China. I talked about Australia. Oysters and wine get caught up in the dispute with Philippines. Bananas and things like that run into phytosanitary problems. Each one of them has some technical explanation, but taken together, the question is, are we absolutely sure that trade is trade and politics is politics? And that is something which I think does need to be addressed, as does the question of the imbalance and how to restructure the Chinese economy so that it is less dependent on exports and can, or at least so that it has a smaller export surplus and has a greater degree of domestic consumption. It's not a straightforward matter to do. It's not just a matter of issuing coupons to buy new cars or refrigerators or of paying everybody more money. You've got to have quite a fundamental restructuring of the economy to make this happen. And it is very difficult. And yet you do want to bring the Chinese into this ink blot of a rules-based trading system, because if you keep them out, then you've taken the two biggest pieces off, and you're playing chess without the king and the queen. Which is still roaming around the board on its own. That's very difficult.
In a world where business never stops, Mint keeps you ahead, any screen, anytime. From studios to the ground, Mint breaks down business, leadership and lifestyle, boldly, visually and smartly. From boardrooms to markets, from personal wealth to industry trends, we bring you the insights that matter.
Mint is doing brilliantly well. It's a well-read page, I would think.
What fuels India's biggest CEOs? Ride along and find out.
I have to work that much harder. I have to put that much more in.
Over the years.
Yes.
Earlier I could say, no, I can't afford it.
Yeah.
But now I can.
Want to invest like the pros? Learn from India's stock market experts.
Things like that worry me about markets.
I don't want to buy a house to invest.
Your money, your future. We make finance simple. Step inside breathtaking homes and the creative minds behind them.
So we are at the house in Camellias. I think Camellias is the most expensive property in the NCR and probably the most expensive in the country.
India's real estate scene decoded. No jargon, no fluff.
Home buyers will have more bargaining power.
It's a great time to buy a house as well.
Some chase success, others create it. Meet the ones who made the impossible possible.
I don't want to be a doctor, I don't want to be an engineer, I don't want to be an accountant. That's the most fragile thing. Poof, it will go away. वो ताली ऐसी थी ना, इतनी addictive थी, मैंने कहा बॉस अब तो यही होगा.
We don't just talk business, we show it. And the world's watching.